guys, I'm Essie.
Hi, I'm Dushime.
Hi, I'm Carol, and welcome to our channel if you're visiting for the first time. If you're not, welcome back. We appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for the support.
Yes, you guys, we have reached 100 subscribers, and we just want to say a very heartfelt thank you to every one of you that has subscribed. Continue to share and engage, and just suggest books that we can do and all of these things. Yes.
Oh, okay. So today we are going all the way to Nigeria. We encountered Abubakar Ibrahim, the author of Season of Crimson Blossoms. Guys, this book is also a lot, and I know people are going to say some things that talk about particular things, but well, it is what is being written in literature.
Yeah, it's there for
so this is a warning, discretion. Yeah,
Disclaimer.
but just keep watching, and then you get to know more. So anyway, let's get into it. Esther and Dushime, what do you guys think that book is about?
So the book is about this 55-year-old widow called Binta, who is a Muslim, and she's living with, I think, her 2 grandchildren, and living out.
One is her niece, the other is her granddaughter.
Okay, yeah, her grandchild and her niece, and she's living in Nigeria, in a very Muslim part of Nigeria, and she meets this young thug who comes. They first meet each other when he comes to rob her, technically, and then when he sees her, something about her reminds him of his mother, and something about her reminds him of his mother, and something about
her reminds him of
about
his mother, and something about him.
Yeah, reminds Binta about her late son, and then they start to have an affair. Read the book to find out how we went from stealing to an affair. But then they begin to have this full affair that to me was a little weird, and and then the drama that unfolds from that affair. Yeah. So,
Essie, did you think the same, differently?
Well, yeah, it is about all of this, but then I think for me, even more than that, it's about Abubakar was bringing to light certain taboo topics that would normally not be talked about, especially in that context of religion, in that context of culture, because it's the Hausa. So the Hausa in Nigeria are, clearly from the way they discuss culture in this book, it seems that they're very culturally driven. They have a lot of cultural norms that they hold very sacred. And then even religion-wise, they're Muslim in the book. But then this is a book exploring the sexuality of a 55-year-old
The penny
woman.
has just dropped.
Sorry, friends, it's right there. But yeah, so it's exploring the sexuality.
Is not old.
No, but that's the age at which, okay, number one, we're talking about this sexuality in a Muslim culture. This is not even something.
I don't know why, because I mean, when you read reviews or blogs, people say 55, it's.
No, but no, menopause. The normal age of menopause is 45. So when you're talking about the sexuality of a 55-year-old woman, it's not the norm.
But it's also that thing of
sexuality in that sense.
I mean, you guys got me hooked to this stupid show. Okay, not stupid, but Big Little Lies. Anyway, and there's a part where they say when you're 40, it's just not cute to be romantic or just obviously sexual.
Yes,
another thing is out there.
Exactly. It is. I feel like it's a mindset. Even in our society, it's there. Now, even in this society where, it's Islam and it's Hausa, and there's so much that's done in the corners, in the dark corners. No one really brings these things and talks about them at the forefront. And he does. It's such a daring book because he dares to talk about, there's the sexuality aspect, but another theme for me that was such a big deal was the way in which older siblings, rather a mother, cannot talk to her oldest sibling, oldest child, I beg your pardon, cannot have a relationship with her firstborn. And I feel like that was, the reason that, for me, a lot of the ways in which Binta was reacting to a lot of the things in the book was stemming from that. She couldn't engage with her firstborn, Yaro,
so she falls in love with a 35-year-old guy.
First wait. She couldn't engage with her firstborn, Yaro, who died. So, I mean, at the end of the day, he dies even before, I think she had said that she loves him, you guys. The most basic.
For me, I still think it's like when you get exams and they ask you a question of, is it option A, B, C, D, E? It's a right explanation for a different question. Like how you've explained why she's having this relationship with
Well,
Reza.
but no, I don't think so.
I don't think the relationship has. I mean, it's a bit
Couldn't she just be
odd
stuck?
to pick it from okay. She's thinking about her son while she's doing things.
But then
with Reza.
she was right, like she actually was. Okay. And like I'm trying to like for me, what I'm trying to do is explain that it's possible. Do you get what I mean? It's a possible reaction. No, it's a possible reaction, you guys, because we cannot. Dushime, you cannot decide for a woman.
So for
you,
we are not mama.
No. First of all, you know how you guys can't tell how a woman who is not able to engage with her first, but you cannot determine how she's going to.
So now you must go and have sex with a boy who is as old as your
saying
first
is
boy.
it's a possible reaction. We cannot rule it out because we don't know. Like at the end of the day,
I think you can't rule it out, but I honestly don't think that that's the reason. I think we're just trying to justify this cross-generational sex. And it could just be...
It was disgusting, Bambi. All the sex scenes were just like, oh my God, what am I reading?
And Esther comes back always to this
disclaimer. Like, I really don't want you guys to get it twisted. Like, I'm not justifying that.
No, okay. No, you're not justifying with alarm. But I think, because if it was just about that, then the writer wouldn't have told us about her marriage. And the things that she wished for in her
I'm not saying that
marriage.
it was just about that Dushime, but you guys are refusing to believe that it's even a bit about
No, because
okay. Outside or beyond this relationship between Binta and Reza, what else is the book about? Because surely
there's a lot more.
Yeah, there's a lot more.
True. It's a very multi-layered book. Yeah, there's a lot. So, maybe another really sort of central character I would say is Faiza. So her niece, Binta's niece, she's living with Binta right now, but she had a family and all of this. But her family, part of her family was murdered. They don't really say what happened to the rest because it wasn't her whole family. But her brother and her father were killed. So Faiza her dad and her brother were killed, and right now she's living with Binta.
But what happened to
the rest of the
her
family?
Mom? Yeah,
I don't remember what they said about her in the book.
Her mom remarries, and then Faiza can't stand her new stepfather because when her father was murdered, and she can't.
But you guys, we're not talking about how she actually witnessed this murder.
Yes,
because he was literally slain.
Who wants to talk about the gruesome?
Well, it's stemmed from
White
no. It's like religious wars. Religious conflicts in the area. It stemmed from religious conflicts in the area where there was tension between Christians and Muslims. So they Christians went around killing Muslims, and then it was actually her teacher, I think her favorite teacher, her math teacher, or something of that sort, who is the one who actually committed the crime of killing her dad and
hacking him. It was
right in front of her.
It was really nasty. So yes, she's dealing with all of this, and she comes. In the beginning, we're introduced to her as this slightly rebellious, teenager who's Muslim, but then because she has these friends who wear tight dresses and things like this is the way she carries herself, and she reads the Muslim version of Mills and Boone, which are called novels. And in the beginning we don't really see a lot of the trauma that really comes to show itself.
I think later on they do, but in because the first time that they talk about Faiza in and the trauma is when her auntie, I think, is sharing a room with her and Umi, and who's the little I guess would be her cousin.
Actually, I don't think that's the part. Sorry to
cut you off.
I think it's earlier. It's earlier from the way she repeats things.
So when that's the beginning, actually.
When they ask her,
basic, yes.
When they ask her, where is Binta Hajia? Is she bathing?
Yes, she's bathing.
It starts from there. I think it starts from there.
When she's
almost 16 or something of that sort. But you can see in her responses, it kind of seems like she has to remind herself of her reality in order to be able to answer.
Checking first.
Yeah,
exactly. So I think what he did with that character for me was also a major theme in the book. He explored mental illness in a way which, I'm not Hausa, I don't know about the culture so much, but then I feel like he was bringing attention to certain things that are probably not talked about. You know, the trauma that a lot of these kids go through. I mean, Hurera was, the first thing in her mind was, it's a demon. Like, this, my baby, this child
Hurera being
is
her
being her
auntie.
auntie. Yes, Hurera was her auntie. And the first thing in Hurera's mind was, this child is being plagued by a demon. Like, you know, given everything that she has gone through, I feel like maybe, you know, for me, from a more, I would say, land, I don't want to be snobbish. But then, yeah, for me, I wouldn't go first to... I don't think I wouldn't go first to demon. Do you get what I mean? I feel like the fact that for her, the first thing in her head was, this child is being possessed.
Because she's religious.
Even with the evidence of, she knows exactly what
because
I think has gone through.
I think there's this thing in Africa that, you know, that everyone suffers. That
so you just deal.
If a child had gone through this trauma in I really hate saying this, but in Bulaya, they would then take that child to see a therapist or whatever. But in Africa, even when you lose a parent, or even when something bad happens to you, people expect you to mourn for some time and then just move on.
And but then, like someone who's more exposed. You see, that's because you know there was someone who suggested therapy for her actually.
Yes.
Monkaila's
wife.
Yes. The Monkaila is Binta's son.
Yeah.
So you know, she actually suggested therapy, and I think it was from a position of, I'm so sorry, I really don't mean to sound snobbish, but you can help me phrase it better. But it's coming from a more exposed perspective. You know? I think then.
But do you know that there are people who are exposed that would still?
No, but I think then the question is, or maybe what we need to talk about is where the Hausa are from and why it is that he had to, Ibrahim had to draw that picture for us. Do you know what I mean? So if he's talking about mental illness, and you see that Hurera's first response is a demon, that says something about the people that he's writing about.
Absolutely.
So maybe let's focus or put a magnifying glass on the Hausa people, and you know, just
Muslims.
Yes.
I get what you mean. And I think
just coming from
because I think it's more than their religion as Muslims. I think it's also about like their culture, like as them.
Those people that
even if they had been Christians. And even if you're looking in any other part of Africa, as long as, because in Africa, those are things we don't talk about, mental illness or therapy. So I don't think it's the religion per se. I think it's the whole them being very cultural and from a certain part. Yeah.
Yes,
as seeing as you've brought in the whole mental illness thing, so which characters in the novel are in some ways understanding to Faiza's mental state? Which characters see her and recognize her? Because I mean, you realize as you read along that when she reads, she escapes, and you see that she writes, she journals.
Absolutely.
Because she's also just trying to make sense of her reality, but she's also just drawing inspiration from the books that she's reading, because you know you have to do that work of creating worlds. So I think that's where she gets courage to create worlds in her journal. So let's talk a bit about that and the short ones, who are her friends, who you know help her in that space.
I think like you've mentioned the short ones. Their names were Karima and Abida. They were half sisters, so they were like her closest friends. And I think there's many ways in which she's behaving are influenced by them. So they seem to be like in the clique. They would be the leaders, the ones who are dictating the way everyone else is behaving. But more importantly, I think Faiza finds, I don't want to say a confidant because they never really talk about it, but her and Abida, one of the girls, they have a moment, they have a connection. So Abida comes and reads her journal. The one where you're saying like she creates all these worlds and she's trying to put everything that she's feeling down on paper. So Abida reads it, and you would expect that at that age she's going to go and maybe tell her sister, or gossip about it. Yeah. But then she really doesn't. They have this moment where they're just looking at each other, and I really love how poetic he is with his words, because he shows that even in just that look, they have a sense of they have a connection. There's a sense of understanding. I get where you're coming from. Yeah. I get that right now you're trying to heal and all of these things. And the only person that she's able to get that from in the book is Abida. So I think, in many ways that probably also even helped her as a person. Helped her.
Can we also talk about the relationship between Abida and her twin Karima sister?
Yes.
Dushime, you said you really enjoyed that story.
I thought it was funny. Like, I thought it was like a funny element in the book. It didn't really bring much to the story. But the sisters, the half sisters act like twins. And some people think that they're twins, but the
they
funny
finish each other's sentences,
and they
so
really
like we just
and
did.
they're always
So
so the funny part is that their moms hate each other. So their moms are married to one man, and their moms wanted to. They competed basically with this man, and there were moments when he had to run away from them because they were competing to have a child. So if he slept with this one today, the other one would be like, it's my chance. Because both of them wanted to be and he was tired. Both of them, they wanted, because they were always competing with each other's wives, they wanted to be the first to have children. And so they have these two girls, I think a little,
roughly the same time.
at roughly the same time. And instead of what you would imagine, since their moms hate each other, they would hate each other. They become close, they become best friends, and they act like twins, and they're inseparable. But their moms still hate each other.
Yeah.
So I found it so funny.
It
like,
was interesting.
yeah.
It was
Also
very
because for me,
interesting.
this book was a lot like a Telemundo, like
Nigeria
movie,
proper,
like one of
What?
those movies on
Proper.
Africa Magic. But I found that part very, very funny.
Yeah,
like
it was
it was interesting to see. Also the idea of half sisters raised in such an environment to decide to defy their parents like that. I mean, like,
makeup and the
yeah.
tight clothes and
because I feel like if you grew up in that environment, then you'd of course hate your sister and never. But then they are close. But then they are also such rebels because they're the ones who sell all these books to the whole community.
yeah,
They
they
have
actually have a business.
They have a business of buying these
Yeah.
Mills and Boons kind of books and then selling them out, and the ones who wear tight clothes. Pfizer's auntie Binta actually really does not like them because
Yeah.
she doesn't think there's anything.
But that's
but
so
I find
funny
them so
because
interesting.
now we also just get into the conversation of Karima, who has a crush on Reza, who is Binta's
boy
squeeze.
toy.
Squeeze.
I couldn't find any
That's
other
squeeze,
word. Name
true.
squeeze. I don't know, but like that's what it is.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Reza and.
So this guy must have been good looking, you guys. Can we just say?
Was it good looking or was
a
it
good looking guy?
No, yeah, I think it's not even about being good looking. There's something about that cowboy who's like
Dangerous.
Yeah, he's dangerous. And
That's
he's
part
like
of the package. I beg,
the
like,
bad
yeah.
boy.
If
If you think about it, the bad boy does not necessarily have to look good. He just has to be dangerous.
And
A bad boy.
So let's talk about Reza.
Yeah, Reza.
And who Reza is? Reza is such a character in the book. He is described as this drug lord at 25, and he runs San Siro. San Siro is like it's a compound. So I imagine it's like a homestead,
but
like a ghetto
like
homestead.
dilapidated buildings that have not really finished.
Yeah.
And
So basically,
exactly.
he's the boss, and the only way he got to be the boss was because he killed his boss. So he's actually late.
Reza.
Yeah, he's a real thug. Like
And
I
the way
said,
he also
young
gets
thug.
his name,
Right,
Reza.
Reza.
He cuts his stepbrother, who was just being funny and shady with him. So he cuts him, and then his stepmother names him Reza.
And it's stuck.
Yeah.
He
So let's
becomes
talk
his
about
man.
Reza, and his role in the book.
And how weird he was. I found him like he was so weird.
Besides
No, he
saying
wasn't, you guys.
she wasn't
Okay,
in
Right,
her marriage.
how was he not weird? Which part?
Okay,
When-
why was he weird? Why was he weird? Let's start there and then I continue.
I feel like I'm going to sound like so bad when I say this. One, of course, he had abandonment issues because his mom really wasn't in his life, and then he finds that his mom was a prostitute and all these things. But I feel like he had such weird. Who sleeps with someone because they remind you of your mother?
No, as in like
That
that
wasn't
was the
only
benchmark.
reason. Yeah, I
That
don't
he-
feel like it was.
please, guys.
What, so did he only sleep with
Remember-
her because she reminded him of his mother?
No, you
No,
guys.
but that was kind of
He
where
did.
Correct answer, wrong question. Wrong
Ah,
question.
let me defend my point. Let me defend my point.
answer.
When the first time that Binta and Reza meet is when Reza goes to her house to rob her, and when he's
She wasn't to my marriage.
yeah, when he has a blade to her neck and everything, and then she goes to the room, and then all of a
bends.
sudden she bends, and then he sees her,
She wasn't to my marriage.
and then he
They have a
realizes
line
she's
of
old,
chemistry.
but she's not my marriage, and then her gold tooth reminds him of the gold tooth in his
but you
mother's
guys,
mouth.
eh,
Guys, that was weird.
So, okay.
Don't even.
It was weird, you guys. I'm not even saying he was
But
weird,
as he
but then
says, we cannot completely disregard it that this connection could have stemmed from that, as she
Stamps.
said in the
But
book.
so is that what
my
you're saying?
point
That
is
it couldn't
valid.
have stemmed?
No,
Like, okay,
I'm saying
so
it
let's
did.
first give the
I'm saying it did. So that's number one reason why he was weird. Because from like that whole thing of Yeah.
Okay, so
And
both
then
I genuinely think it was a power thing because we see that when he was younger, and there's times when he really wanted to connect with his mother. There's a time when his father took him to see his mother. He was supposed to go to school, but then the father took him to see his mother, and the mother sat with him a while, and the father seemed to be begging, and then she just walked away. She's like, as in, bye. Then after that, she comes back into his life later on, a few years later, and at this point, he really can't stomach it because he's had the rumors, and she walked away from him, most importantly, before. Yeah. So I think in the first place, maybe it could have been a power thing. He's seeing this chick, she's mamarish, but in a very twisted way.
You said something about him as if getting back at his mother. This whole dynamic.
Yes.
I really didn't see it like that.
No, but when she puts it like that, it kind of makes sense because, I mean, there has to be a reason why. Because even if for her, when she sees him, there's this whole thing of she stand on and everything. He goes away, and then he didn't have to come back and return all her property and all these things. We even see that getting the phone he stole from her back was a bit hard for him. But he gets it back and he comes back. So there's that thing. Also, things happened in his time. They were together in his time. He had a power thing. I agree.
I think it was power
but whenever he calls, but then there are times when she had never called to say that she also wants.
No.
I don't think there's any.
Okay, I don't remember that part in the book. Yeah. But there was also a way in which he talked to her, which was very, guys, psycho. In me, he was weird.
Now, you see how you're saying about friend? I feel like, as in, how did he talk to her? You're saying,
but you guys, okay. Can we also just look at this relationship as not just one weird, like some of us have already concluded, but also, what else is there to this relationship? Because surely it's not just about Yarrow being her dead son and his mother, who he just really feels a lot of anger towards. But there's a lot more to this relationship. There's a reason why.
But I feel even tying back to coming back still to Yarrow and the mother, I feel like you've talked about power, but then I also feel like there are things that he was getting from Binta, this form of attention. No. Like, she was his bank. That's number one. Mm-hmm. She was on his case. Like, she cared about, have you prayed? Have you eaten? You look what? You what? There was a position of mother that, yes. There was a position of mother that she was feeling. So there was a position of mother that she was feeling that this guy had never got.
So besides this relationship being incestuous, it's, as you said in the beginning, this is a very multi-layered story. Even at a religious level, it's just
what's wrong with
red flags,
level, really?
So it really makes it, I think, their affair or their relationship seem that more.
But can we let me even slide in there like one sentence, you guys? I think it also really brings to light the hypocrisy of religion sometimes, because there's so many ways in which, number one, for me there was that whole scene where Reza brings for her porn and then they watch it together, and what I guess already their relationship was really messed up. But for me, I was just thinking, but this is a woman who goes to the mosque, who does madrasa, who what?
No, but it also shows you that at a very human level, even as you're trying to wrangle with religion, you're also human.
You are.
So of course,
so
of course you're going to fall short.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true.
So anyway,
okay. Personally, I don't think that's feminism in any way, because I don't think that as women, a woman should be, stooping to the man or coming down to help him. I think that a man, should come up to you at the end of the day. You should find a man who's not a dwarf, in short. Find a man who's big enough.
But did she have the choice to find a man who is not a dwarf?
Hence why it's not feminism. I feel like no. I feel like what Binta was saying. I feel like Binta was saying that men are dwarfs. She wasn't saying that she picked a dwarf and they're big men that.
But you guys also need to. We also need to.
Saying that a man is a dwarf, which is a very I think that feminism is always confused with saying that men are less than. I don't think saying that a man is less than is feminism.
But Dushime, that's your understanding, eh? First of all, a lot of people, we see this everywhere online. People are saying men are not
trashy.
Exactly. Are not as, they seem to come across as. So it makes sense that
I think also context, you
would,
guys.
yes.
I feel like at the end of the day, I'm looking at it. I feel like this is not a comment I would expect from someone who has been raised to believe that women, you have to be, the way she was so submissive to her husband, and the way it was not a comment that I saw coming from her. Do you get what I mean? Like, for me,
I agree
it showed a
with,
strength
but
that
I don't
did
think,
not see.
but I also
I agree with that, but I disagree
sense
that
of
it's
wisdom.
feminism. I agree that it's
I think
wisdom
that
and unexpected, but I don't think that.
no,
it's
I think
feminism.
that Binta, as a character, is a feminist. First of all, even in her relationship with Reza.
Well, that is,
I mean, by the way, she's not
she's
hiding.
grouping. She's
doing
taking her
her own
sexuality by
thing.
the horns, you guys, and
Yeah.
saying, I'm owning
I think
this.
let's agree to disagree, because I don't think that's
She's doing her own thing, and as in, even when the mosque chicks find out,
she's doing her own thing, but burning incense in shame.
No, because she doesn't want anyone in her
we can't see these
business.
things as black and white also. I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like, yeah, that sense of shame is, I don't think it takes away from her being a feminist.
And
But
let's
yeah,
agree
okay.
to disagree. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's feminism in any way.
Oh,
but I was going
fine.
to say, something we haven't talked about for me that I found interesting in the book was help me here, San Siro. Yeah. Which was where Reza used to lead his gang. It's sort of this compound area that's like a hood, like a ghetto place. I think for me it was interesting because I think when you think of a ghetto, when you think of these gangs of drug dealers, you think that all they do every day is they smoke weed or do their.
I honestly really didn't enjoy the narrative around San Siro. Like, it felt like every time I read it, there was a black curtain.
For me, it was interesting
like
because I've never seen African gangs really deeply explained. For me, it was like, I don't say places in Kampala, but there was, like how you think about them, you think they just shoot drugs every day and sleep, like, and occasionally when they are lucky sell drugs. But they actually had a system. They had a guy who was like an accounts guy. They had a team doctor, if I can call him that. And Reza was so organized. Like, he organized his team and he had rules and he had like punishments for people, and people respected him in that area.
Yeah.
And there was this whole little family and community and the way they did things. I found it interesting because I agree that it may have been a bit over talked about and we could have summarized.
But I think it played
But I think for me it was interesting in that sense to just see. Yeah.
I think it played a role in also building Reza's character. I feel like it really contributed to, showing him as, like you're saying, someone who's organized, someone who has some sort of semblance of organization in his life and is going somewhere. Because when we're looking at him from Binta's perspective, all he is a thug. Like, he's just this useless person who just smokes weed all the time.
But he's going where?
And what?
To wherever the top boss of thug would lead you to. Like, wherever.
He has political connections. He's working for, like, one of the biggest senators around.
And then you never know.
Anyway,
Like, he was actually going
speaking
somewhere.
of the senator, let's actually talk a bit more about that relationship between Reza and the senator, because I feel that a lot of Reza's character is influenced by the senator. I mean, the senator drinks tea at midnight. Just by the way, like,
sleep in real talk.
No. In the book, he doesn't really sleep. But let's talk about the political climate and how, the senator was so manipulative. Every time he would meet Reza, he's like, yeah, so you have to go and disorganize that, like, rally up the troops, because we are doing this for you. You see everything we are doing this for you. And yet that guy is such a hypocrite. Because his son is going for masters in the States of England, and he tells Reza, man, can you imagine this kid? He's going to go and study, but don't do that thing of school. You just stay where you're at, because at the end of the day, you're going to get money. You have a business mind, you have a big future. You can be rich if you do X, Y, and Z. By the way, sometime I'm going to need you to do something for me, but I'll let you know. Do you know what I mean? Like, you see that Reza encounters a lot of things outside his life when he's with the senator. Now, like the tea drinking is like, as in, first of all, tea is for breakfast.
Even
don't do
fruits.
that. Exactly. The grapes, was it grapes?
Apples and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was grapes.
Yeah.
It was really like,
yeah. He encounters that, like, between the senator and Reza, you can see that Reza is such a minority.
And that's the only time you see him being like, not the alpha.
Male. Because when he's in San Siro, even the police bow down to him like, all Reza has to do at 25 years old. He walks into the police station and he's like, are you returning my things, owner? Like, tell me.
Because he's the boss, And there's that thing of his past sort of comes from the senator.
Yeah.
Because he has this connection with this man, everybody has to.
Big guy.
Everyone has to sort of respect him. Yeah.
there was also another element of religious hypocrisy. So Malam Haruna, we haven't really talked about him, but he was the one officially vibing Binta.
He asked
because
permission
Binta is a widow.
from Hassan.
To vibe. So exactly. So for him, his form of vibing is he comes, sits outside with his car radio. They discuss what. So Malam Haruna found out that Binta and Reza were having an affair. He saw them coming out one after another of that hotel. I was like, first take your book. I need break. Yeah. I was really there. Yeah,
like I ran around. I texted in the group. I'm like, God, I can't.
But you know what's so funny is you guys talked about it so much. So for me, when I was reading it, I was let down. I was waiting.
No.
So it didn't.
Like, but the thing is, no one talked about it. Me, I just said, you guys, I need help. I need someone who can just throw me.
And to save you bring you back in Bambi, I get you. So anyway, yes. Now when Malam Haruna finds out, his first reaction, you guys, as a proper Muslim man, is to come and tell Binta, not in these words, I'm paraphrasing. I know you're giving out to our friend. Me, I also want.
The way you've said that is
and
so
then,
wrong.
And then, as in, because of course Binta is so like angry and what you can't be
it's
asking
also
me
a power
for
thing
this.
between the two.
Yes, maybe.
No, but I think
Binta
it's
and Haruna.
But I also think
And
it's
then-
that thing of he had failed to get her at wife level, and now that he knows she's a giving away,
Which is so disrespectful.
so he can't imagine her now as a wife. So it's like, if I can't get her at that level, I might as well. This is easy.
But it
and
goes
she's
back to
giving
your
this
point of
stuff.
hypocrisy in religion, you know?
Absolute
Because,
hypocrisy.
I mean, at first you wanted her as a wife, but now if I can't, then
Let me just get
At
another
least let me
table
get-
and we
yeah.
go. And then because she refuses, he goes and reports her, and that's actually how the book ends up ending. He goes and tells her son, your mother is out here doing all sorts of things, man.
We won't spoil for the ending.
But,
as we wind up, let's just talk a bit about the language and the use of language in this book. I mean, when you get to the end, at the end, Reza has abducted some chick who, well, Reza basically he's a political thug, as he was introduced earlier, young thug, and he's a political thug to one of the senators called Senator Maikudi. And so Senator Maikudi had this plan to, just put out all his opposition by abducting their family members or whatever. And so Reza is actually at the forefront of this. So Reza does all his dirty work. So we have Reza abducting this chick called Layla. And it's only at the end where when she's talking to Reza, in the book, it explicitly says she responds in English. And then I realized that, and keep in mind, you guys, this is a few pages to the end.
Yeah,
and then I realized that, so this whole story is not even in English.
Yes.
What? So it's like and then I thought it could have been a translation of the story. Did you guys feel like that?
Imagine I didn't because there's actually parts even before where they talk about the translation thing, because the girls, the twins talk in English sometimes. Like there are times when they spice their language with English.
No, because in the book also explicitly there are chunks and chunks of phrases that are in Hausa. That's the truth.
What I'm saying is you see how you said that.
Do you think that book was translated? Yeah.
No. Okay. Wait,
that was the question. Do you think?
No, let me help you. I've got where you're going now. She's saying at the end you talk about how Layla says something in English,
and it's explicitly mentioned.
So when the short ones, the friends were talking, there were moments, I think, to be cool, where they would throw in English words,
and then you would say she said this in English.
Yeah. So for me, by the way, the translation didn't come through that. Me thinking the book was translated. It was just that I struggled a little reading this book because of the pace. It was a bit... And you realize that if you read a lot of translated books, they're also very slow. I think that's... I don't know why, but for me, that's why I thought, maybe...
Listen. Personally, you guys, when I realized this language thing, I even wanted to cry because I was overwhelmed by... I don't know, like how you can just sit there in your house or in front of your computer, whatever you do when you're writing, and you decide that here is the English language. Throw it in the bin, and every rule that has to do with the English language as we know it, throw it in the bin, and let me just dismantle you. So for me, he just, in a way, he created this language, and I mean, it felt so hard to go through the book. The pace felt very
slow.
It was
very slow, but then it was very intentional.
Yes.
He was very intentional about it, and I think he was really just playing around with language, and he's really just daring you. He's like, man, everything you know about English,
let me show you
that you can actually mess it up and dismantle it. Exactly. And that's why I think when you come to the part where Layla is speaking and she's speaking in English, or when those short ones throwing English words, then it is English as we know it. But then in actual sense, he's probably creating
the words.
He's kind of disorganizing syntax, like organization of words. And I was just like,
oh my goodness. But he's really smart, because then it makes me wonder. So the book is, did he write it in English or write it in Hausa, or what was he thinking in Hausa and then
that's what I was going
English?
to say. Yeah,
like what was the process?
Like how if you speak,
interesting.
You know how some people say that they think in Luganda but speak English.
Yes,
I think
so. In his head, the story was formed in Hausa, but then it came out. Anyway, guys, people are smart. So I hope you watched the episode.
Well done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. If you don't have a copy of Season of Crimson Blossoms, be sure to get yourself one. You can put in an order at Turn the Page, Magunga 2, Magunga Bookstore 2, and you can buy it online. Yeah, you can also buy it online. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
See you next episode.